along with Bruce Silverglade.
I'm very surgical, physical when I'm lyrical. So bad it now with medical, something critical. It's gonna take a miracle. Bright lights for some spiritual, written down like biblical. I finally reached the pinnacle. Yeah. Welcome to the house, the one they talking about. Word of mouth, the boxing playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.
Bienvenido a Boxing Playhouse Latin America. Esta semana vamos a hablar en inglés because we have in English. We're going to say this this week on Boxing Playhouse. Welcome everyone to the show. This week we have the honor, the privilege of having none other than the true gentleman of boxing, Mr. Gerry Cooney himself from Manhattan, New York, New York. We have a co-host today. We have Coach Lou Acevedo, and as always, we have Spanish Ray Sosa from Africa.
Yeah, baby.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. I'm chilling.
It's cold over here. I got my hoodie on.
Hey,
there you go.
We're good. We got Gerry Cooney. How you doing, Mr. Cooney?
You know, life is great. I've been busy. I've been traveling a lot. I got a boxing. I'm training a bunch of guys. It's really been a fulfilled life, and you know, one that boxing really needs to pay attention to, because most of these guys, by the time they finish, the managers are moving on to somebody else, and they're stuck with all kind of bills, and they need to get educated in a way what to do after boxing instead of wasting a lot. See, a lot of people, when they leave boxing, they feel bitter. I didn't have that experience because I turned my energies to helping fighters find a connection after boxing.
You know, when I called you today briefly to introduce myself and to let you know what was going to go on. I happened to be at the gym and I heard the bell where you were at. So you were at the gym as well. So you're actively involved in boxing. Am I correct?
Well, I mean, I hear bells all the time. Don't you guys? Listen, yeah, I'm involved in boxing. I really wanted to get involved with professional fighters, but they're like racehorses. They look good, they smell good, they look in the gym great. You put them in the ring, and you never know what you're going to get. Very rarely do you get the guy. And quite frankly, I'm at an age, and I got a great family. I love my wife, I love my kids. I like to check in and go to the fights, but I got a great life ahead of me, and I want to, I train 8 or 10 or 12 different kids and men. That's a lot of fun for me. They're not going to be fighters, but they build self-esteem and confidence and courage and all those things that we need to sustain a healthy, normal life that we don't get really. And most of the guys that fight, it's been a sad story for a lot of those guys that put their heart on the line and they don't make it.
And their lives on the line.
Mm-hmm.
Me being a former fighter myself, I've gone through that ups and downs, the emotional roller coaster that most fighters go through. And like you said, you were very smart and very fortunate to be intelligent enough to put your money away and save for rainy days. Not many of us do that. Not many fighters do that. They live in the moment. And then when it's all said and done, they wind up with nothing and saying, hey, I was robbed or I was taken advantage of or whatever the case may have been. But, I'm a trainer nowadays myself. I train actual fighters along with people who just like to work out. So I understand what, for me, it's a sense of self-fulfillment on many aspects of things, because not only do I encourage people to stay healthy and get in shape, but even on the other aspect of it is I'm producing confidence for anti-bullying and things of that nature,
That's a great. We lost touch with that. Kids are getting beat up and knocked around, and there are a lot of bullies. And I used to like to fight the bullies back when I was a little kid. And but more importantly, we need to find a direction from the fight game. In the fight game, we need to go to the commission and find out what we're signing. I signed a 16-year contract. I was a young kid. My father just died. I didn't know what the hell I was signing. So I stayed with these guys all this time, and they really didn't have my best interest, with them. And I fought for the championship. I fought Larry, but I needed 3 or 4 more fights with guys who could have gave me different looks, where I could have developed more and had more of a chance to do better in the fight. And obviously, we all make mistakes, But
I was very fortunate during my fighting career that I had a handshake contract with my manager, and be honest with you, when I was with him, I was always steered in the right direction. And the moment that I separated myself from him because of
mhm,
ego or whatever have you, I like to look in the mirror and cast blame on what I've done, not so necessarily what
right,
they did, or what he did. But he was a great individual. We had a handshake, and we've never had a dispute. We never had an argument. We never. But I'm one of the fortunate ones because I know some fighters have gone and signed what we call slave contracts and things of nature. Whereas I don't know, about 15, 20 years ago, they came up with the Ali bill that protects fighters from certain things. But fighters nowadays, you give them a contract, you tell them they're going to make some amount of money, and they don't even read it. It's like 4 pages. They read the first page and the last page where they signed it, and they don't take the time to do the due diligence work of finding out what the contract actually says. So I
well,
understand what.
that's true. And more so is that these guys, the management and the promoters, they pay their bills, they pay this, they pay that, they do the insurance, they do all that stuff. And then what's going on is that they're teaching these kids not to know how to take care of themselves. And then you got all this resentment and bitterness, and it takes years to work through. I've seen it over and over and over again. It's a very bitter world. And I always knew, I grew up very poor, and I knew the rainy day was coming. I didn't know when, I didn't know how it was going to, but I knew it was coming. And I kept my money put aside because, that day is a terrible day to face.
You're right. And saying that, I remember when I got so used to my manager. Like I said, was great. We had a handshake contract. My coach at the time, similar situation. They took care of everything, and I went through some tragic financial losses, being taxes and
Mhm.
things of that nature, right? And when I found myself in bankruptcy, and I found myself with my back against the wall, and I had separated from them when they were doing their best to protect me, I really didn't know
Where to go?
what I could do with myself. I didn't
Right.
know how to even. I got so used to them taking care of everything except the fighting aspect of it that I really didn't know how to even go out and fill out an application per se. And before them, I knew how to work, and I did all those things, and I worked a day to 9 to 5 job, or 10 to 6 to 5 job, or whatever the case may be. But when I got with them for them 6 or 7 years and I separated for them, I literally looked in the yellow pages or the want ads, and I didn't know what I was qualified to do,
Hmm.
which is a
Yeah.
great travesty.
And you know why? Because they want to keep you dependent upon them so that they can keep making money from you. And that's kind of cold to say, but in the long and the short of it, that's what it comes out to be. And but I'm really grateful thinking of today. I don't want to go and be a downer here. Boxing is great today. These guys are getting great opportunities. Listen, Tyson Fury went out there this past couple weeks. I don't even think you could call that a fight. He made $50 million. The other guy in Ngannou, he had never fought professionally before. He made 10.
Unbelievable.
So, but not just that, but DAZN and Barbarum and you know Top Rank and Joe Dubois. Those guys are better looking out for their guys, and you have to. The business has
Yeah.
changed, and we got some great fighters, which is really exciting to watch.
What do you think about these? And we're gonna touch on some things. Ray, we were talking about those heavyweights, and you had made a comment. I'd like you to make it again on air. We're talking about these heavyweights. We're gonna talk about in a few seconds. It's gonna be called the Day of Reckoning, and there's a whole bunch of heavyweights that are. Let's be quite honest. It seems like the Middle East, Dubai, and that general
Mhm.
area of the Middle East is taking over boxing, except especially the heavyweight division. We have Deontay Wilder, we have Joshua, all these guys fighting out there in Dubai and Saudi
Mhm.
Arabia. What do you think about that, Ray, and also yourself, Mr. Cooney? I know Ray has a great opinion of you, and I as well. Now, you're not only a gentleman outside the ring, but in the ring, you don't. I don't think there's a. I don't think you bring the gentleman inside the ring, because I know that left hook was no
Mhm.
joke.
No, listen, we got a lot of guys on, a lot of great guys on tonight. Let's hear them. Let's hear what they got to say.
Jerry,
Come, yeah.
Jerry, double G, Jerry. You ready? You ready, Gerry?
I'm ready.
Let's do this memory thing now.
Yeah.
Before we talk about Saudi Arabia, because this is about you. I met you that day. That picture there, I met you that day.
Yeah.
That day I met Duran on the highway selling
Wow.
newspapers. You thought that was my brother.
Mm-hmm.
You saw me next to him and you go, hey, your brother looks good. He was training for Sugar Ray there.
Right.
And I told you, Gerry, that's not my brother. I just met him today. You said, what? And then you told me, what a nice guy, right?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. But you know why you a nice guy? You made that picture happen. You told me, why don't you take a picture? I said, nah, I'm going to leave him alone. Because he was kind of timid. I was just happy to be there. And out of nowhere, you remember Mario photo? The little guy Mario?
Sure I do.
You talked to Mario, introduced me to Mario. He took that picture.
Isn't that beautiful?
And guess what? The last time I saw you was that day.
You know, it's a great moment. You know, it just happens a lot in the game. People want to stand back, and I say, listen, this is your shot for this picture. And I push him in the picture. Let's get the shot. You know, I mean, it's a magic moment.
And then I joined the gym, met Rebecca, and I watched you train.
Mm-hmm.
I started watching you and Duran, and I remember Victor Valley Sr.
Yeah, great.
Training you. And I told you on the phone, I said, Gerry, is it true? He invented the bag that went horizontal, sideways.
He really did. And, you know, obviously it needed some more technical, you know, if you have too much punching power, you break through the spring and you hit the wall. And what's in the wall, but, you know, concrete and those things. And so that wasn't really great for your body, but it was a great product. It didn't go nowhere. It should have. You know, they just need to make some adjustments in the support part. But
they made the bag now, and he never patented it because now I saw that either Everlast or another company took that same blueprint and made it a product.
Wow.
That was Victor's idea.
It was definitely Victor's idea. He was a very bright guy. I loved Victor Valley. I loved him. And I loved his son. We just lost his son not too long ago.
Victor Valley Jr. Salute.
Yeah, so
right.
He had a brain tumor or something. I used to reach out and talk to him and his wife. And
was that how you developed that crazy left hook of yours?
I was always a left hooker, but Victor was, you know, he was so smart. Like time was going so fast for me that I couldn't pick up a lot of stuff he gave me until after my career was over. And then I could settle in and really understand the game a lot better as he did. And as he always tried to give me. But my life, when we're at young athletes, your life is flying by. You don't really hold on, you know.
You
know
were,
what I mean?
and you were right-handed, correct? And then you were converted?
No, he was the lefty.
You know,
Yeah,
I was.
He's a lefty that fought orthodox.
No, listen. So I went to the gym when I was 15 and a half, and everybody had their left hand forward. So, yeah, I was left-handed, but so I fought converted southpaw from the start.
Exactly.
It was a great, you know, Larry Holmes just told me a couple of years ago, he said he never knew I was left-handed. He said I had such a good jab.
You had the De La Hoya thing. De La Hoya was like that. That's why you guys had such a crazy jab. Your jab was strong, and your hook to the body was insane.
You know, I loved De La Hoya, and you know, he lost a couple of those fights, once to Trinidad and one to Shane Mosley, but they were so close. And he just like fluffed it off. But, you know, I thought he was a true champion through all his career. I love that guy.
How did you meet Victor? How did you and Victor Valley get together?
You know, Victor came here, and my father had died, and I was looking for a manager. So I'd go to this guy, and he'd say, well, you know, I want 75%. Then I'd take it. He wants 50%. And I had this older guy with me, great guy, Frankie. And we ran into my managers, and they had signed Howard Davis. So I thought it'd be great for me to be showcased on his cards. He signed a big multi-million-dollar contract with CBS. And so I wound up signing with them for that reason. And little did I know, they really weren't the best for me in my career. They didn't like each other, but they did find Victor Valley in the process. We went to the gym, we hit it off together, and we had a great life together.
He had Billy Costello too, right?
He did. He had So many. He had a bunch of guys.
He
I
had
mean,
a
he was
roster. He had a
he had a
roster.
roster, and he was great. He never got to the big time, but he was big time.
He was your Gustamato.
He was a great guy, man. He was great,
What
tough
a
but great.
what a
I remember
combination.
I was out. I went away on a weekend for a wedding party, right, bachelor party and all that. And he next Monday I came to the gym. I was hurting from hanging out all night. He made me go 8 rounds. That was the first time I most I had done was 6. He made me go 8 rounds that day on my with my hangover. But listen, you got to learn hard sometimes, right?
Yes,
You know,
sir. Yes, sir.
he instilled so many great things in me. But listen, this is not about me. It's about all you guys. So let's hear from you guys for a while.
Well, let's hear about from. We have a guy here, Chuck Metzner, says that he's watching. He says it's always a magic moment. Just to be with you, it was an honor to have his picture taken with you. And he also made a
Wow.
comment about Oscar De La Hoya. He said Oscar in that fight was told to coast by his corner. That's why he lost the fight.
He shut
Um,
down in the last couple of rounds. Yeah, you're right. He shut down a little bit. But anyway, he was still a great fighter. Those guys, we need to remember those guys. You know, and let me just put it this way: in our time, Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns, those
Duran.
guys, all those guys couldn't. I'm not saying Duran. I'm saying, in my opinion, the Mayweathers and all those guys couldn't hang out with those guys. In my opinion,
I
but
always said that. I always said that to this day.
They were cut from a different cloth, you know. I tend to agree to that. I think that the 70s and 80s were like the
magic time, magic.
yeah, it was just magical moments in those particular times when you had, I mean, let's not forget the war that Hagler had with Hearns. I mean,
Hmm.
one of the best rounds of boxing, right? Um, when Sugar Ray fought Hagler, he was very bitter after that fight on the decision, and he went up to Paris, and these guys really they weren't out, having a cup of coffee together. These guys really wanted to beat each other up back in those days. Nowadays I saw something that Mike wrote. Mike was quoted. He says, "Back in the days when he fought, they were killers. Today they're businessmen." You tend
But
to agree with that?
Danny, back in those days, Marvin Hagler gave Ray Leonard a 24-foot ring.
Really?
Marvin Hagler gave Duran, I mean, gave Sugar Ray Leonard the bigger gloves. You just don't do that. But he was so confident about what he was going to do to Leonard, and that he made a mistake. Quite frankly, I thought it was a great fight. I didn't think that Leonard really took the championship from Hagler. Hagler threw the more powerful punches. There was more aggressive, and Ray Leonard was pitter pattering. So we could argue about this forever, but I liked Marvin Hagler. I love Ray Leonard, and the problem with most of those guys, God rest Marvin Hagler. He's passed along, but the other guys in those divisions, they took such poundings over the years that it's affecting them all today, and that's a sad
You know,
commentary.
do you think that back in those days, fighters didn't take care of themselves like they do now? Back in the days, they had horsehair in the gloves, the padding, everything is so it's just a lot different now. The way they have protective gear, the gloves, the way these guys they hire dietitians. And
Right.
they do things a little bit differently. Back in those days, I know some fighters used to go out and have a few drinks before and after the fight, and things like that. And now fighters don't necessarily do that. I never did, I came in towards the late 80s, late 90s into the 2000s, right?
Mhm.
I started my pro career in 1997, and I retired in 2013. But back in those days, fighters used to smoke cigarettes, and things of that
Right.
nature, right?
Look at my yoga.
Well, yeah, it's
Smoking right in
unbelievable.
the ring.
Well, listen, those guys, they fought with their hearts. You know what I mean? And like you said, some ways today they're fighting for the dollar. And thank God you talked about Saudi Arabia a little earlier. Yeah, boxing, how could you not go there? They're offering $50 million for a fight like Ngannou and Fury, and the money's just not astronomical. Like you talked about, all those heavyweights are going over there to fight on the card. and because they have the money.
I have a
So
question.
I'm sorry.
Boxing is all about minimizing mistakes, right? Especially when you're a trainer, you're training somebody, and you teach them. You try to minimize the mistakes they make, right?
Hmm.
That's what boxing is all about.
Yeah.
I think the generation now is just doing that. They're minimizing the mistakes that the older fighters made. You see what I'm saying? Like
I do.
getting hit a lot, on the business end of it too. Like the mistakes that they made back then, these guys now are not trying to make the same mistakes.
Well, Peter, let me just say to you, like all those great trainers, they passed. And so boxing's getting a watered down version of those great guys. I was watching Freddie Roach. I love Freddie Roach. He had a kid fighting, and the kid kept getting hit with the right hand. And he'd go back to the corner. I figure, well, Freddie's going to tell him this round. And he would come back again, and the same thing happened over and over again. So, the great trainers, and Freddie is a great trainer. He's had all the great champions for so long, but I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about in general. The great fighters have passed. The Freddie Roach, the
Eddie Fudge,
Eddie Futches, the other guy
custom
from
model.
Philadelphia. So many great trainers, the Gil Clancy's, those guys, they passed on. Now, other trainers are coming, and I'm not saying that there's no good trainers because I don't believe that, but a majority of them are teaching a watered down version. I will go up to see a young kid, amateur, pro. I'll tell him to please show me your jab, right? And he leans right in with the jab. And I tell him, put your hand on your face, lean back, step in with the jab. Don't catch any of those shots. But it's not being taught. And so you're getting wear and tear on your
There's
body.
no teachers. There's no teachers.
I'm
There's
not saying
coaches.
that. I'm not saying there's no teachers. I don't think there's that many great teachers anymore. And, aside from some guys that we know. But majority of fighters, they're teaching amateur stuff, in my opinion.
We have a comment here from Peter Rivera, from a fellow New Yorker. We know who he is. Gerry, big fan, much love and respect. How soon after the Holmes fight did you and Larry become good friends that you are today?
What are you talking about? I hate that guy. No, we became, about 4 or 5 months after that fight, we went out to Vegas. Now, listen, he was one of the greatest champions of all time. He fought everybody, fought the great fighters. And I was fighting once a year against older guys. I didn't get the Witherspoons. I didn't get some of those guys that would help me actually develop. And so I went into the fight not really taking care of myself, and I got stopped in the 13th round. That being said, we became great friends. We travel, we make appearances together, we show up at events. It's been a great life we've had together, and it's been over 40 years. And we both still remember. We both still remember.
I heard a rumor, and I'm not sure. Maybe you can verify this, but he had renovated a state prison, and I guess he made a deal with the state of. I think he lives in Pennsylvania, Allentown, Pennsylvania. He leases it out to the state of Pennsylvania. Am I correct in hearing that?
No, he built a courthouse. He had a lot of buildings, but what happened was, the taxes come around awful fast, and he made a lot of money for Eastern Pennsylvania, and they didn't give him any breaks, so he wound selling them off. He had a gym, he had a great restaurant, he had a courthouse, and so stuff happens. Things change in life, and obviously, we're only as good as our last fight, or we're only as good, as we were out there, and then things change. And that's a big thing. Like, people talk to me, well, you remember this guy was talking about this and this fight and that. I said, buddy, that was 40 years ago. I had to turn the page, I had to get on with my life. I have a beautiful family. Look we're doing great stuff. I help people every day of my life. I do appearances. I do charity work. I go to work with at-risk kids on Saturdays because I'm supposed to do that. That's part of being a celebrity, albeit an old celebrity. I'm still fortunate that I get the call to show up and to help kids out and to teach them. And, I'm teaching like 6 or 7 great young men in my home, and it's beautiful to watch them, their self-esteem grow, and they feel confident, they feel happy, they know what they're doing. And I mean, I'm training one young man is over 400 pounds, and we
Wow.
start slow, and we teach him, and he's athletic, but it's going to take a while to get that weight off. Not
The
that he's
mo-
going to become a fighter, but all the other qualities of his life can grow. He can have reach out and have more than he would normally be able to have through boxing. Will open the doors for so many other things in his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gerry, back to you. Hollywood hit you kind of early too, right?
You know what? Yeah, it was hard, man, because all the girls wanted me. Everybody wanted me to fly here, fly there. Here, have the drink, do this. It was out of love. It was out of love.
Mm-hmm.
And I got caught up, and I grew up in an alcoholic family. And so I had the what do you call it in my head, and it caught me.
You were
And
like the Sylvester Stallone of boxing
oh
after
my
that, because
God,
he
I couldn't
he
believe it.
was right there with you.
After I knocked out Norton in the Garden, I forgot it. You think I would have said, "Well, I better get a nutritionist, a good coach, someone that could be a condition coach." That's not what happened. I picked up drinking, and I picked up some dry goods, and little did I know my career ended that night. But like
That
I
was,
said, I
yeah.
saved my brains. Unless you talk to my wife, I got great brains, and I saved my money. And we have I love my wife. I can't wait to go to bed. We have three great kids, two with her, and I have a great son who's 35. And I put down the drink when he was going to be born, and I cleaned up my life. I grew up. I accepted the fact of the mistakes I made, and I can't blame my father. I did it. I did it to myself. And that's a great thing to me because I blamed. I wanted to point the finger not at me, but somebody else. And what did that do? Nothing for me until I accepted the fact that I fell short, that I made those mistakes. And then I could turn the page and get on with my life and be helpful to other people in any walk of life.
Let's talk about that rotary cuff. Like Danny, you guys both had that left rotary cuff problem, right?
What was it?
The rotary cuff. Remember the hook?
Oh, I tore my rotator cuff in 4 places, and yeah, the doctor said it would um, never be 100% again. But you're a young kid. I'm thinking about it. My son was 23. I remember, fuck, he's a great smart kid. He graduated from Lehigh. He's an engineer. When I was 23, I was fighting Norton in the Garden, and then he turned 25, and I thought this young man. When I was 25, I had to fight Holmes. So it's amazing what we go through as human beings and what we walk through and the fears. And as much as, I grew up in this household where they told me I was no good, I was a failure, I was never going to amount to anything, I still was able and capable to get into the ring June 11th, 1982, and fight that great champion and become friends with him.
That's right.
Excuse me 1 second. I want to introduce one of our other hosts on the show. He's the boss. He's the creator of Boxing Playhouse. And his name is Emelio Santana. If I can have him come in, he's my guy. He's the one to put the show together with Sakura Armstrong. Emelio, where you at?
Danny, what's happening?
Boy, you look like you're a
Gerry.
bad man, bro.
Man, it's a pleasure, Gerry. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Looking good,
When they
bro.
said you was on here, man, I was breaking my neck to get to the house to be on here to talk with you. So it's an honor, man.
so
I've been
nice.
watching you since I was a kid.
Wow.
Man, when you broke Ron Lyle ribs, you beat Jimmy Young, man, Ken Norton, the Holmes fight, man. I've been following you a long time, so it's an honor, man. It's a pleasure to have you on the show here.
It's very nice of you to say that to me, and I really appreciate it because where I come from and my failures are what ruled me, and I felt like such a failure back in the day until I got sober, until I really saw that I wasn't broken, I was bruised, and that I could mend myself, and that's the road I took. And we fall down, we dust off our pants, we get up and move again because nobody's waiting for us. Time is passing us by. But you look like a movie star. But what's up with that, bro?
You see the cup, Jerry?
Oh yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. The Golden Cup.
New
That's
school.
why you
That's
pause.
the cup right there, man.
Beautiful thing, bro. Beautiful. So
We got a few comments here. If I can make a few comments here, I won't
Yeah.
let it go by too much. We have Chuck Mesner. He says, the status thing, there is no organization to help boxing. There actually is. We have Alex Ramos, Alex the Bronx Bum Ramos. He has a foundation for retired boxers. There's a few things. Then he's more support. So, yeah. We have Ian Schoolboy Garrett says, everyone nowadays wants to train and be knockout fighters, which is I guess back in the 80s or whatever, when Mike was knocking everybody out, everybody wants to be like Mike. I wanted to be like Mike at one time, not Michael Jordan, but Michael Tyson, right?
there you go.
Chuck Mesner, you're great with the icons of boxing. Sakura Armstrong says, brave to you, bravo to you. Too much is given and is required. It says, love that. Family is everything. She agreed with what you were saying about your family, your wife, and your kids. I too myself, I'm so grateful to have my wife, so I can understand that. And then it says Chuck Mesner says, "Hey, Emilio, what's up? How you doing? Hello."
Hey, what's up, Chuck? What's up, everybody?
So go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Hello, Ray. What's up,
Chime in, guys. Chime in.
We're here with the chant, man.
Come on,
Definitely.
Coach Lou. Let's go. Let's hear some stuff. What's cooking, bro? What's going on with you?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm here just listening. I'm a big fan of boxing. I've been in the boxing game for a little while, but I've always been a fan of it since I was a kid. I'm an '80s baby, but I watched all the '90s fight.
Wow.
So my history goes back to like Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward. Those fights. Those De La Hoyas, your Trinidads, and
90s.
that's my era.
Yeah.
The 90s era. So I hear you guys talking about the 80s and the 70s, because I know you retired in 1990, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was basically right. You came in. Well, I came in right after you.
Mhm.
I was born in '80, and then I started watching boxing like in the '90s. So I wasn't fortunate enough to see those fights on TV. I had to watch it on a video or YouTube or stuff like that. But man, your jab was ridiculous.
That's his power.
Man, listen, I see your jabs and you can hear them. They thud.
Yeah.
And that's one of the
Well, you know
things
what? That was a long time ago, but I can't remember.
Come on, man. You kidding me?
I bet you those guys you can remember.
You guys were talking a little bit about how the fighters they're being helped, but fighters need to find their passion, and unfortunately, if it's not in the gym, then they're lost. And basically, all their managers have paid their way all this time, and now they're lost. And those guys need our help. And unfortunately, the guys that have all the money, they don't need the help. So it's the guys that, you turn pro and you think, well, I'm going to become the champ. And then you realize, okay, I'm not going to be the champ. So I'll be a contender. Then I'll be a sparring partner. Then I'll be an opponent. And we got to get that out of the game, because in that time, the shots you're taking is not good for anybody. Not for boxing, not for yourself, your insides. And, we need to figure something out. They were doing something over there, over the seas, what you were talking about, but I think it lost momentum. Hopefully something will come out. But basically, I really feel confident in boxing. I feel like that we have some good people looking out for these guys, and it's changed a bit. And hopefully they're teaching them how to hold on to that money, because they're going to need it sometime in life.
Jerry, I got one more that I noticed you did with De La Hoya would do. That I love this about you guys. When you guys used to get in the gritty of anything, you used to bite down on the mouthpiece. And every time you went to the body, you would bite down on that mouthpiece. And I said, get him. I
There you
said,
go,
get
bro.
him.
You guys are so nice.
Come
You
on,
guys are
man.
too nice to me, bro.
It was what
Listen,
it was.
I had a great time with. I was a kid. I saw my brother knock somebody out with a left hook to the body and a right hand to the chin. And since that time, I was amazed. I became a body puncher, and I love those bottom ribs. That got me a lot of ribs under my belt, bro.
Like
A lot
Santana
of
Spit.
ribs.
Like Santana
Tommy
Spit.
Cooney, your brother Tommy Cooney was the first boxer in the family, kind of sort of,
Devastating.
right?
He was devastating. But what happened to him is in the sub-novice Golden Gloves, he fought some guy from the Virgin Islands who had 100 fights, and he was in his second or third or fourth fight. So he lost in the finals, and he got discouraged. He didn't stay with it. But I didn't have nowhere to go. I left the house when I was 17. I lived in a room for $10 a week, had to feed myself, worked at a gas station off the books, and looked for a manager. So we all struggle in life.
Hey, Emilio, I'm very proud to say we got another New York City Golden Glover right here.
Hey, I like that right there. I like that.
He won him twice. He won him twice.
Yeah.
I want to tell Gerry, Gerry, I love the relationship you and Larry Holmes have right now, man. Every time I see pictures, y'all look like the best of buddies, man. I love that relationship you have.
Thank you.
And I was curious to think, I want to ask you in your prime, how you think you would do with Tyson Fury, you in your prime?
You know, I don't, for the life of me, I don't understand. He's obviously, he feints you to death. So he keeps feinting. You want to get set, and then he feints you. You have to start over again. But I don't understand how you do not get to his body. Right. You know, you feint that jab, you get into the body, you keep banging it. Those hands will come down.
Right.
But obviously, other guys must know that, and it's not happening. So, listen, I think he's just about had it. I mean, in that fight with Ngannou, I mean, he should have backed Ngannou up, backed him up, just like he did to Fury. You know, when he got dropped by when he got dropped by Wilder, he got up and walked Wilder down, backed him up, and Wilder couldn't get off, and he wound up stopping him. So, you know, there's a lot of, who knows? I mean, he's made so much money, so much.
You heard
money.
what Gerry just said, right?
No,
he basically just said he can beat him.
Cool.
Yeah.
In his prime, I agree with that.
Saying it and doing it is two different things. To get into that body, you can't miss that body. You just can't miss it. Get in. He's going to try and hold you, but bang him twice. Bang him twice. It's not like maybe I'm going to get in there. That's my job.
Right.
I got to get in there. And they don't do it today.
That's true.
Chop down the tree.
There you go.
Do you think it's a question? Do you think it's a situation where, look, the guy's made so much money, it's hard for him to get up off the couch and do certain things? You know, a boxer that sleeps in silk drawers isn't really a hungry fighter anymore. You know, and
well, listen, I could understand that, but when he put on 150 pounds and was doing cocaine or whatever he was doing, he was bipolar, whatever happened, he came back, and when nobody wanted to fight Deontay Wilder, he said, I want Deontay Wilder. So, I mean, he's a great personality, he's a great character, and I think that, you know, he has said that it's going to be a money grab for him the rest of his career. So
I think he's dirty. I think he punches behind the ear, and he shouldn't be allowed to do that no more than one time, and he keeps punching behind the ear. Yeah. Never like that.
Maybe he does. I don't really notice that, but
I mean, you look at how tall these guys are, and they find shorter guys, and when they hit them, you know, when the guy ducks his head, he's going to get hit behind the head.
Let me ask you a question, right? How are these guys getting to be 6'8", 6'9", 6'10"? What's it, in the milk? Is it in the milk? What the hell, bro? I mean, it's unbelievable.
You should know. You should know.
You're right. I'm a little guy to those guys now.
Yeah, but you were ahead of your time because you were one of the big guys back then. I used to look at you.
I was one of the big guys.
I used to look at you like, oh, Jesus, this guy's giant, man. You know,
Danny, I wished I had someone to grab me by the arm and say, Cooney, come on, this is important now. But I didn't. I didn't have nobody. I didn't trust my managers. You know, it's a terrible, terrible commentary, but that's how it was. And unfortunately, that went that way. But fortunately, I saved my brain, and I saved my money, and I have a great life today because of people like you that keep me out in public, and you know, and I show up. I just came back from doing fights. So, I'm been so blessed. Had these opportunities before, and then I started drinking and I lost them all. But now it's coming back to me. I think God is good and God is faithful, and I'm walking His
Good
path.
for you,
And
man. Good for
Man,
you.
you were born in was it 1958?
I can't remember. No, thank you very much. 56, bro. Don't know me, bro. You
No, I'm
checking if
asking
I'm?
this
Are
because
you checking if I'm
listen, hold
50 or
on,
something?
All right, man.
listen, hold on. This weekend, I was at a fight in Jamaica, right?
Hmm.
And it was Razor Ruddock versus it was at an exhibition.
Wow.
Razor Ruddock against James Toney. And even though they're up in age and their whiskers are getting a little long and gray, they look like they had some fun, And you could still see the skill in what they were doing. I was
Moments of
really
it.
appreciative. I'm
Moments of
sorry.
it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
well,
see.
yeah, when you get up in age, it gets a little bit tougher. But the skill that they had, and after the fight, I was able to speak to both of them. I was able to actually get them wrapped and stuff like that. Help use their, put their hand wraps on
Wow.
them and stuff. It
Nice.
was an honor to do that. But to see them having fun, it was an amazing thing to me, right? And it was for a worthy cause. What do you think about these exhibitions? These older guys, these retired guys coming back and doing exhibitions for whatever reasons, because it's a money grab. What's to
Well,
say?
I think it's
What do you think of that?
these are great guys, great fighters, but really, you're making small amount of money where you can get hurt. All you have to do is get hit in the eye and lose eyesight of your eye. There's so many different dangers that we can go through as we get older. The body shuts down, doesn't work the same, so we got to be really careful. And those guys are very proud. I was just with James Toney at the New Jersey Hall of Fame, and he's a wild cat, a lot of fun to be around. But and James Broad had a great career, but he ate himself out of it, right?
Him and them cigars, James Toney and them cigars, right?
Yeah.
He had like 20 cigars in him. I'm like, what are you doing, man?
That's right. It's bad for your
He
lips and
gonna
all
be
that.
taught
Stuff.
Rick Ross, I guess.
Hey, listen, he's enjoying his life whatever way he can, and he's always going to be a fighter. I think his father was put in jail for murder, or he murdered somebody or something, and they never made any peace. And obviously, Roy Jones kind of shut James Toney down until later on they fought again, and James Toney beat him. I think that's the truth, right?
No.
That happened with Bernard Hopkins.
Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah. He beat Bernard first, and then Bernard beat him in that rematch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so listen, these guys, they're not getting hurt. There's a referee there. They're making a few bucks, and so if that's how they want to live their life, I applaud them. But you got to be careful because you do have to worry about health reasons at that age. With those they came into the ring, I heard, with a couple of canes.
Oh man!
Yeah, Ruddock is what, 59,
I
right?
hope they don't hear this.
Well, you know what? I think they are listening to this because I got to chit chat with them a little
I love
bit.
you, Tony. I love you, James Toney.
Hey, Ray, you want to hear something crazy? I had a great weekend over there in Jamaica. But I didn't want to go. My wife convinced me to go, and I got to hang out with Sam Watson and the people from Triller, and they offered me an exhibition against James Toney. I'm like, listen, my brother, I'm having a hard time getting off the couch to and walking by the refrigerator without opening it. Are you kidding me or what?
Hey, listen, years ago, 9/11, they had a, Bruce Silverglare was putting on an exhibition in Brooklyn. So I go there to box with somebody. So David Sears finds out his guy didn't show up. Can you box me, Jerry? I said, okay. Ivan Barkley's guy didn't show up. He wanted to box me too. Then there was some fireman he had a lot of people there. He wanted me to box with him and some other guy. So I'm fighting 4 guys in the ring. And at the end of the last fight, this fireman's trying to get smart with me, right? So I tame him up a little bit. He got so mad at me. And, Chuck Wepner was there. Chuck Wepner's another great guy who supports everybody. And, that's what we got. We were lucky to get to a certain place in life, and we got to give it back to help those less fortunate.
Chuck Webner, is that the guy that used to block with his face?
Well, he was a Bayonne bleeder, but he was a great man.
What a guy to take such a
Yeah.
shot. Huh?
Inspired
Isn't that the
Rocky.
guy who did the Rocky movie after, like
Inspired Rocky.
it was like his story.
That's right. He used to wrestle with bears. It was unbelievable what they put him
He
through.
had the big hands too. He had the big old hands.
He did. And
Jerry,
he's
what
gonna-
about Tex Cobb? How about Tex Cobb?
Tex Cobb was
Tex
just
Cobb.
a guy that could endure anything. He could endure
Man.
so much, right? And from what I understand, he's still okay today. So I mean, when I saw Ernie Shavers, he fought Ernie Shavers, and I fought Ken Norton, right, to fight
Right.
Holmes. And Ernie Shavers hit him with a right hand every single time for 7 rounds until Ernie Shavers got tired, and they stopped the fight. But a guy like Tex Cobb, he took it. He was in where was he, in Australia, and the car flipped over. He ripped his scalp off. They had a veterinarian sew it back on.
Oh,
So you want to talk about tough? That guy is tough, but he
You know
couldn't
what,
fight.
man,
He couldn't fight. He talked some shit about me too, through the years. He couldn't fight. He was a punching bag, in my opinion.
Hey,
And-
Jerry, remember he made Howard Cosell retire. You remember
That's right.
Holmes beat him so bad, Howard didn't want to.
That's right. I mean,
Well,
yeah. How
conversate
do you allow someone to go on beating you like that? You know what I mean? But anyway, that was the guy he was. He was a club fighter.
Right.
He made some money. He made some movies. God bless him. And listen, that's how it is. Listen,
So
we
you got a compliment
Matthew
here.
Saad Muhammad. So many great. Vito Interfermo was a great
Oh,
guy.
man.
oh,
I
forget
mean,
about
so many
Vito
great
Interfermo.
fighters that we've known in the past, and now we have some. Think about Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. If that fight ever takes place before
that guy.
Beterbiev is 60, but it's some fight matchup, boy. He's a beast of a
That dude ain't human, man. That dude.
Danny,
is-
what weight class are you? About 75, right?
I fought at light heavyweight. Yeah, I fought at heavyweight for a while. I was too short arms, too big of a head, but I did the best I could, and I made a little bit of money and had a lot of fun.
Well, let me tell you something. You're smiling. You got your brains about you. It's all good to me. It's all good to me.
Thank you.
I love you
We
guys.
have a guy here that just wrote about you. He says, Terry Everson. He says, I used to practice Jerry's left hook to the body on the heavy bag. Because the guy used to mimic your hook,
I'd love to see that hook, bro. I could straighten it out for you, bro. No, you couldn't do it, bro.
He knocked Ron Lyle right
Thank you,
out the
brother.
ring. He knocked
No,
Ron
man.
Lyle right out the ring with
No,
that.
listen, I used to go through sparring partners. Like, you're supposed to work with your sparring. My trainer wanted me to work hard with them all to toughen me up because I was too nice, right? And I was knocking these guys out. It was costing me a fortune to bring them in and fly them out.
Jerry, I got to ask you about one guy, man. And I thought you was going to break him in half. Michael Spinks.
That's a great question. And I was drinking and drugging all the way through the fight. It was on, it was off, it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. I never believed it was going to take place. And I was, that was when I got sober in 1988. So that was the end of the run for me. And I really, he should have never been in the ring with me. I cut him pretty bad. And how he got through that, I just was a walking dead man. You know what I mean? I was a walking dead man. And so that shit happens to us too, unfortunately. And I make amends for all those things going forward. I made a lot of mistakes. I clean up my past. I help people. I try to change. I try to be a better person. My wife and I, if we have an argument, we say, let's start the day over, whether it's 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. We hug and kiss and start over again. That's a great thing I learned, a life skill that, I used to walk around for weeks, deathly silent. That's abusive.
Wow.
That's and I see you guys, oh man, I hope it's not me. I hope it better not be you guys. Make amends, learn about it. Anyway, there's so many great things that were afforded. And obviously you guys are right in with them. And I love being with you guys tonight. I didn't know what I was walking into. And I thought it was a party for Bruce Silverglade. And
Bruce is the
know
man.
what?
Bruce, we had him on a couple shows, and we talked about you. We talked about a few things, and I'm like, look, man, whatever we could do to get Gerry Cooney on the show, I mean, let's make it happen, man. Because
Danny, I asked him.
Danny,
I asked him, Danny. 8 o'clock, he goes to sleep at 8 and gets up at 4. God bless him.
Listen, he was such a humble guy. For all the money he had to try and collect off the fighters who wanted to rob him and cheat him and steal. I mean, you know how the fighters are.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they change, but Back then, they had to hunt you down for your rent, for your locker. You know what I mean? And so for him to still be in the game, doing so well at this
Thank
stage in
God.
his life, he's got a nice home in Arizona or something. You know, he's got a beautiful wife. He helps guys. He brings guys in as trainers to make them pay their bills, help them pay their bills. Doesn't get no better than that.
To
Doesn't get
keep
no
that
better
gym
than that.
open is a cathedral. I mean, look,
Yeah.
it should be, you know, it's an iconic place.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean,
When he gets tired, what happens? You know, when the day comes when you guys say, hey, I gotta get out, boys. You know, it's going to be a tough time for a lot of people.
I think he
All the
just
great
hit 80.
fighters.
I think he just hit 80. I think his birthday.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
just
he's been
recently, just recently.
shit, man. I hate to tell you this, guys. I am 67. What happened? I was 40. It was 40 years ago. I was 25.
You and me both.
67 like that, bro.
Look at you there. You look like Saturday Night Fever over there. You look like
Nah, no,
Travolta
no.
over there.
Yeah,
Listen,
he does.
you know
He's
what?
like a John
I did all
Travolta
I
son
did
or
all
something.
that. I chased a girl. I did all that stuff. I deeply regret all that stuff I did.
Why you never got into acting though? I don't understand.
I did a couple of things, but it really wasn't my gig. You know, it wasn't really. You got to really have um, a different type of head for that. And I'm really good personal. I like to be personally around crowds of people. I love that. That's where I live and I feed off of and I grow and I break everybody's balls. And they pay me and they say, "Can you come back next year?" How do you beat that, bro? And so that's where I belong. And we have to at some time in our life accept those limitations that we all have. And once you do, you turn the page, you get on with your life. It's beautiful.
Gerry, I was when you after you fought Holmes, were you ever offered a fight with Mike Weaver or Michael Dokes or
No,
Gerry
you know, we
Coetzee?
tried to get that. I don't know what happened with any of that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I was a, a a kid that I gave it to my management to take care of, and I don't know what the hell went on. And you know, obviously, I promote today. Go to the commission with your contract. Let them teach you what you're signing before you sign it, so you have an idea what's going on. Plus, this is an education ongoing. So when
Right.
you're a young kid, you don't know what anything. You're just in this gym fighting, and all these things are going on, and we have no concept of that. Like, you know, I could tell you so many things, but listen, I'm grateful. I did a lot of great things. One of the
Right.
greatest fighters of all times, Larry Holmes, and I are friends with each other. We do things. We help each other out. He wants me to come down on his show. I'm going to
Nice.
go down and do his show. We go out to eat at nighttime. You know, those kinds of things. We make appearances together. If he gets a gig, he calls me. If I get a gig, I call him. You know, that's the story. You know, you don't need the whole pie. Just take a piece of the pie, right?
Right. That's all right. I like that.
That's
So
my philosophy as well. Like everybody wants to indulge and be gluttonous and try to take everything and not share anything. And what you do is you wind up killing yourself. Number one. Number two is you don't enjoy it because you got to screw everybody out of their piece instead of just
Right.
having your piece, enjoying it, and spreading the wealth. And everybody eating off the same piece of pie.
right.
I wanted to ask you a quick question. You've been in boxing for a long time. You know the game in and out. You've been there and done that. You probably forgot more shit than we've ever thought of, right?
Mm.
What about boxing today that you notice that you wish you could change?
Well, I do. Every time I'm around fighters, I show them a couple of things that are so important. Not to be in the picture throwing a jab, but to be looking at the picture, leaning back and use your body as a ramrod. Your arm takes it there, but everybody falls in with that. This is what happened to me when I fought Holmes. Every time he's coming, I would lean in to get away from the right hand. I was walking right into it. So after 13 rounds of that, you learn a lesson, right? Plus, my trainer was trying to give that to me. And so get out of the picture. Be on the outside. Use that jab all day long. If you throw 100 punches, 80 of them is a jab. You know, set the guy up, step to the right hand to the body, hook to the head. But use that jab all night long. Those are the gifts. You know, 100 punches, 80 are a jab. Learn your jab. You know, learn a jab. Learn to fight southpaw. Learn some new tricks, feint. use the feint all over the place. You know, when I feint, you got to say, "What's that?" And you got to figure it out before you set up again. So that's my rest, and that's me getting ahead of the game. You know, stepping to the right, weaving under. All those things are so powerful for us, but we have kind of lost it the way.
So
And
Jerry, when you fought Larry Holmes, how was that jab coming at you? What would you say to yourself when that jab was coming at you with full force like that?
I said, man, that fly ain't that shit ain't that ain't. That's like a fly, bro. That's like a fly.
Yeah,
Listen, he had a great jab, but he told me I had a great jab too, and I was
yeah.
using my jab too. But he was just flicking out there, flicking out there, flicking out, and set you up. And you know, I mean, I got my licks in. I sure did. But you know, he was a great champion, and I feel proud to have the shot. I don't know why, for the life of me, we did not get a rematch back then because the fight was good. I mean, you know, he was pissed off at me because guess what? Ronald Reagan had a phone in my dressing room. So if I won the
Wow.
championship, he was going to call me. And
Wow.
Holmes was so mad. Some things like that happened. It wasn't my fault. Listen, I grew up with a family, right? We were neglected, abused, put aside. And so we all grow up and I become a fighter. And everybody's telling my siblings, hey, how's Gerry? How's Gerry? How's Gerry? No one cares about Gerry. What about me? And I understand it, right?
True.
Like you're invisible. But
True.
it wasn't my fault. But I had to live with that. I had to try and walk softly and find peace with those guys and help them out to try and rid myself of it. But you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of stuff to deal with in life that we have to wade through.
Hey Gerry, I got a quick question. There's a lot of stories around. They try to compare your era to like the Jack Johnson era. How do you feel about that?
Jack Johnson was a great fighter. Was it Sam McGill? Was it Sam? No,
Sam
not Sam
Langford.
McGill. Sam Langford had his number, but he never got the opportunity. So I think that Jack Johnson did duck some people, but he was a man. You can't deny that. You know, we did a heavyweight tournament from Jack Johnson all the way up and through Lennox Lewis. And it came out to be Muhammad Ali won, Lennox Lewis, and Larry Holmes too. So it's a beautiful baby you got there. So you know, it's a wonderful to guesstimate, to play, to joke. He was a phenomenal guy, above his time, and it was a shame what happened to all those guys. Where you know, I had a guy Roy Williams who was a great fighter, fought Ali 3 times in the gym, 15 rounds, and he had to eat in the kitchen. He wasn't allowed to eat with regular people. I mean, that's a crime. You know, that's terrible. He was a great guy. And I also heard that he was like a hitman on the side. Didn't tell nobody about it. I mean, all these things we learn is phenomenal. Hello,
Gerry,
sweetie.
I got all these boxing games, but I don't have you in one of them.
You know what? It's all good. You know, listen, my path was my path, and I enjoy all those fights and those listen to those guys and talking to those guys. And I'm good with me. You know, I'm good with me. I fought as hard as I could with what I had, and I did okay.
Right.
I got to the pinnacle of my game, and you know,
You know, it's funny you say that, Gerry. Um, and this is about you, but I remember during my career, right? I had some incredible highs, and then as incredible as the highs were, the lows were just equally as incredible, devastating, right? And I remember one of these guys who's from the Florida area, who I used to grow up with, and I took this fight because I needed money. I ran out. I had IRS issues. I had to file bankruptcy, and I remember at a time that I couldn't pay for a meal. Nobody would let me pay for a meal.
yeah,
And when I lost the money and I lost a fight or two, I couldn't get anybody to give me a cup of water, right?
right,
So
right.
one day, I get a phone call to fight a very well known fighter. 13 days notice, you know, and
That's how they get you. That's
I,
how they get you. The game.
I needed the money, you know, and I was by myself at the time. Like I said, I parted ways with my management, and I negotiated my own deal. I got a little bit more than what they were offering. I took the fight. I lost an incredible amount of weight during the time needed. I made weight. I went there and I gave them my very best. I came up short. And after the fight, I go up to a guy. Guy comes up to me and says, "Hey, Danny, man, what happened? What I thought you were gonna beat that guy. This, that, the other." And I started seeing the hypocrisy behind things, But what I did is I told him, I said, "Listen, you know what happened?" He goes, "What? What happened? Did you get sick? Did you stub your toe?" I'm like, "Nah, man. I went, I fought. The outcome was what it was. And when I went to the bank, you won't believe it, bro." He goes, "What? The check cleared. The check cleared, my man. You know what I mean? And he got me back in the green. You know what I mean? It didn't bounce. But it's amazing the hypocrisy when it comes to when you're winning, everybody wants to be with you because you're a winner, right?
Yeah.
But the moment that I lost, I realized, to this very day, it's just the craziest thing, But only individuals like yourself and people like myself who's been there and done that. Like I look at the Floyd Mayweathers and I don't envy anything. My path was mine, and I was meant to walk it, and I walked it proud. I take my lumps with the good part of it, and I think that it put me in a position right now to be a mentor and being a coach and show these kids the things that were done right with me.
Right.
And the things that I personally did wrong. I don't like to point fingers at anybody else. Things happen the way they happen. And my story is what my story is, that I'm meant to walk this path. So when I hear you say these things, it like resonates with me because it's like you're speaking my words and my thoughts. And I commend you for that. And I give you mad respect for it.
Well, that means we've kind of made some peace with ourselves, good or bad.
Yes.
Mistakes, the good stuff, the great stuff, the things I wish I had never done. And I got to let it go. If, my God says, if you ask for forgiveness, I forgive you. But I still hold on to some of that stuff. And, sometimes I wake up in the morning with the itty bitty shitty committee in my head. And I gotta pray it away. It's not real. It's over. It's things in the past. And I wish people could see that more often about themselves. Is you got to pray it away. You can't hold on to it. Make amends for it best you can, and then turn the page, get going.
Chuck Mesnes wrote something here that he took the words right out of my mouth. I remember after my first loss, I had never been by myself. I went 22-0 before I lost my first fight, right? And I would literally win a fight. And if I was in the bathroom urinating, then my individual would be outside like, "Hey man, you need help?" I'm like, "I'm taking a piss," like, "Can I take a piss of my own?" You know what I mean? But when I lost that first fight, I went to the locker room and I was by myself, literally by myself. Nobody was there. And that's when I realized I never felt so alone in my life, which is a travesty, right? Chuck Mesner says, your friends come back to the dressing room when you lose. Then you know who your real friends are. Yeah. And there's no truer statement than that.
Well, here's a story for me. I'll tell you guys quickly. I used to be attracted to this beautiful girl. She dressed good. She smelled good. She looked good. When the dust settled, she was crazy because I was crazy. And so once I grew out of that, once I stopped that, I wasn't even attracted to that anymore. That takes time, and we have to work at it. I have to jump over the fence. It's hard. And get a new set of circumstances. I remember when I first came around, this woman said to me, "When you close your eyes, what do you see?" I said, "I see a big black hole." And she said, "Good. Now you got to start going in that hole." And my first thought was, "Are you out of your mind? I'm not going in that hole." But I've been going in that hole ever since. And I'm not so afraid anymore. I'm not so worried about it. The boogeyman is not in there. And that's the things we need to teach these young kids, these people, these young men and women, because, time goes by fast. Right. And I've been so blessed with that information. I love to read. I go to meetings. I go for help. Listen, I attack the animal as it appears itself. I don't want the animal in my life no more. I don't want that guy. You know what I mean? I don't want that guy around me. And it takes work. and it's so hard to get people to do the work. They they do enough to numb the pain. I used to use alcohol. I didn't feel when I used alcohol, but the day came when it didn't work anymore, and had to deal with all those feelings. That's when the man grew up.
Jerry,
So
you met your wife after your career, or you met her
I
during
met
your?
my wife. I tell you what, I robbed the credit. I met my wife. A buddy of mine got a job at this accounting firm where my wife was. She was a financial analyst. I was living in Florida, and he called me and put me on the phone with her. Had a nice talk with her. I was alone for a whole year.
Oh
I
wow.
remember I used to send myself flowers on Sunday mornings, and I went to Africa, I went to Central America, I went all over the place. A lot of reading, a lot of help, and I was a year alone. And he called me up from Florida and said, "Hey, say hello to this girl." That was 30 years ago. And I said, when I come back home, we'll go have lunch. It was 3 or 4 months later. We walked down the street holding hands that day because I was ready for it. I was ready for it. And like I said, I'm not perfect. She's not perfect, but we can work it out. When I tell people they're not getting along with their spouse, I said, well, listen, take a couple of days and write down all the great things about her, all the great things. And then when you're finished, I want you to spend another 4 or 5 days writing down all the bad things. And I said, at the end of that week, how does it, what is it, 60-40? Is it 70-30? Is it 80-20? Or is it 50-50? If it's 50-50, I would tell my brother, get out. Okay. But we have a tendency of staying stuck and we missed the boat. We just missed the boat. So anyway, I don't know how it's becoming a therapy session, but it's been a lot of fun about life
No,
skills, man. We are so lucky to be here tonight on the TV with you
God bless
guys.
you, man. God bless you, G.
And
Jerry. Oh, go ahead, right.
no, go ahead, Ray.
Nah,
I was
man,
gonna
you
ask
go
you,
ahead.
Jerry. I
Go
was gonna
ahead,
ask you
Miguel.
I know you had a lot of great fights, man. What fight is you most proud of that you won?
My fight when I lost to Larry Holmes, because I was really in the fight. I heard him a couple of times.
Mm.
True.
George Foreman, I don't know if you heard him tell, I hurt him with a body shot and hit him on
Yeah.
with the chin. But I hadn't fought in like a bunch of years. So I was Clancy wanted me to move for 6, 7 rounds. But when you're a puncher and you hit somebody, you want to open up. And I
Mm.
got tagged with a shot. But it's so good. It made me turn the page, like I've been telling you guys, to get on with my life. It's over. Boxing's over for me. Turn the page. And I got into a foundation to help fighters get their lives back. And it worked. We helped a lot of people. And then, we hired a guy and he robbed us. So we had to shut down.
Wow.
But I tell people, if you take $1 from every ticket of every fight that takes place around the world and put it in a fund, there'd be no problem with fighters. Everybody would find their place in this world. But fighters think, well, give me the 50, give me 100, give me this. I had this guy, an old sparring partner. He was a New York State champ. Come to me every so often after his career. I give him 20. I give him 20. I give him 20. It was coming almost every day. I said, I can't do it no more. He said, well, if you come to the Bronx with me uh, and I take you to this bar, the guy will give me a job as a bouncer. So I rented a limo. I took him through his neighborhood. I went to the bar. We hung out. We went inside, had a bunch of laughs. I said, so you're going to give him a job, right? He said, no, why don't you give him a job? It was just, that's how people are,
Wow.
unfortunately.
Jerry,
And,
say hello to Grandy for us, man. We want to get him on too, man.
hey, come on, Grandy Force. Where are you, bro?
Hey, listen, Jerry. I know it's getting kind of late.
I will fight you right now, bro. I will fight you right now, bro.
I'm retired. I'm retired. Listen, let's talk about your show. Let's talk about a few things before we get off the air. How do people, keep in contact? What's going on with Mr. Cooney, the gentleman? But let us know how our fans can keep an eye on what's going on with you and your shows and things that's going on.
Well, I'm on Sirius XM every Monday, every Friday from 12 to 2. You just write to Sirius XM. They can get in touch with me. Um, Tom Loeffler, he's a great guy. He's a great man. And we just put on a great fight in at the Garden that they allowed me to work at. So, yeah, I mean, Sirius XM, you can reach me there.
At the fight.
At the fights. That's right. And,
It's up on the
listen,
screen, everybody.
come in, channel 156 every Monday, every Friday from 12 to 2. And we have
All right.
talked about all the fights coming up. There's great fights coming up. And we get great celebrities come on with us. Tom Loeffler is one of those guys who comes on our show quite regular. He's doing great stuff for boxing. He's working with UFC, that new fight channel.
Yes.
And so he's really giving the guys their just due.
It's good to know you still with Randy after all these years too, man.
Yeah, man, I could kick his ass, but I'm gonna kick his ass next time. Listen, we got to talk about boxing today, and I love him. He talks about Ali a lot and those stuff, but there's a young crowd of people we're working with, we're talking to, we're listening to us. We got to bring it up. And listen, that being said, I love Randy Gordon. Yes, I do.
Well, we have
Shakur Stevenson. What do you think of Shakur?
I was just gonna
He's
ask
the
him
best. That kid is so good. We haven't seen how good he's going to be. When he sits down and his punches a little bit more, he's going to be getting some more knockouts. And listen, he's in a tough division. That 30 to 40 is not slouch.
Right.
Everybody's in it.
I think he's behind his division now.
He got a tough fight coming up.
He got a tough fight, but I'd like to see him fight Lomachenko. I'd love to see him fight that guy over in Australia. I'd love to see him fight Devin Haney. I mean, there's so many great fights for him. And he's the most confident guy you want to know. But he backs it up.
Yeah, he does. I mean, he's
They
lightning
don't
fast.
with conviction no more. Nobody, these young kids, the reason I'm not so interested, they don't throw the jab no more the way they should, man.
I know. Well, times change, and we have to go with the change. It's our sport that we love. We just can't walk away from boxing. So maybe we can help the guys out. Go to the gym, help the newer guys out. Use that jab more. Like I said, 80 out of 100 punches is a jab. Use it. Use it.
Let me ask the panel this. We got a couple fights coming up. We got Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Who do you got? Let's go down the panel. Let's go first with Emelio.
I think Wilder gonna knock him out, Danny.
Okay, Ray.
I think they're gonna knock each other out.
Coach Lou.
I gotta go with the bomber.
You know, it seems to reason. I thought this when he fought Fury the first time. I figured, listen, this guy has got to land that right hand sometime in the fight, right? He didn't. So, you know, I got to go for Deontay Wilder too. The other guy's tricky. He moves, but he does get caught. He has got caught the last time. If Wilder catches him with that shot, he's going to go to sleep.
Yeah,
we got six for Wilder. So then we have the Tyson Fury Usyk rematch that got rescheduled for February 17th. I want to go first. I'm going to go first on this one here. I like Usyk, man. I just love his boxing acumen. I love what he brings to the table. I love his confidence. I know that he's given up a lot of size, but his boxing abilities are just off the charts. Who's going to go first? Let's go, Coach.
I'll go first. So listen, I understand that, but Deontay Wilder has got to come in shape. He's got to be ready for this fight.
I'm talking about Usyk
not
versus
Deontay
Fury.
Wilder. Excuse me, Fury. I keep mixing those names up. Fury has got to come in shape this time. It's the end run for him. He's going to make, you know, I don't know how many millions of dollars over there. He's going to be in good shape. He's going to feint Usyk. Let's face it, Usyk is a boxer. He's not a guy to come in and punch. And Fury's going to keep that jab out there all night long. So I'm going to pick Fury. You know,
okay, right.
I'm going to wish Mike Tyson comes back and knocks him out.
We're talking about Fury against Usyk.
I know, man. I'm sorry, man. I'll be stuck in the 90s, man. Let me see.
All right.
There you go.
Shit, man. Again, if this guy's in shape, he could beat him because he's a boxer. He's good. He's just, I don't even know how he came in like that. That's why I don't sometimes get mad talking, because why would Tyson Fury come in looking like that, man?
You're right.
He did though. He did. Let's go. So you got Fury.
Go to Lou, man. Go to Lou.
So let's go, Emelio. Who you got?
I think Fury gonna come in top shape this time, Danny. I can see him keeping Usyk at the end of his jab and outpointing him. So I'm gonna go with Fury on a decision.
Now this can change as it gets closer to the fight. Okay, we
Coach
don't
Lou.
get that much information right now, but as they get closer to the fight, we'll have to get on again.
I'd rather see Gerry Cooney's old fights.
Coach Lou.
I think he learned from the last fight.
So we got 5 against 1. I'm going with Usyk. I'm going with the little guy.
I think he's gonna learn from the last fight.
What about Bivol and Beterbiev?
Well, we got Bivol. They got the day of reckoning. We got Bivol against Arthur, and then we got Joshua against Wallen. We got Wilder against Park. We just talked about that, and Dubois versus Miller. They're all hellacious fights there. They're all coming up, and it's gonna be a good day of fights that day. And then we got the Shakur Stevenson. I'm going with Shakur. I like the kid. I think he's the new generation of boxing. He's going to represent boxing for the next 10 or 15 years. And then we have Emmanuel Navarrete versus Robinson Conseco. I don't know how to say his name real well. But this is the third fight for Navarrete this year. He's pretty active. Are you familiar with Emmanuel Navarrete?
I am, and I'm going to tell you something right now. He's a durable, tough guy, but when he meets Shakur Stevenson, it's going to be a different story.
Danny, what about Benavidez fight coming up? Him and Andre.
Just going to say that.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
That's a great, interesting fight, and can Andre strip Benavidez down of all his aggressiveness? Can he take that away from him like I've seen him do so many times? But I'm a big fan of Benavidez. I mean, I love both those guys.
I think it's the Monster's time. The Monster's going to do it. It's over.
And I think they've kept Andre away from his experience. Nobody wanted to fight him.
Boo Boo's a slow starter, but if I would say try to get Boo Boo out early because the man still got to punch his chance.
Yeah, but Benavidez picks up steam too. He never gets tired, that guy.
Sure. I got Benavidez in this fight. I'm going Benavidez with this one.
Yeah, me too.
I want to see Benavidez and David Morrell fight.
Well, that's that you will fight. That fight you will see if Benavidez wins, or else no one's going to fight him. Canelo's never going to fight him.
Right.
You don't want nothing to do with that.
I want to see LaPlante and Charlo fight. How's that?
Okay.
That's all good.
He got smacked in the face. You saw that?
Big Charlo.
No. I told y'all that slap was the setup. Shakira said that she didn't see that coming. She was like, "Nah, that's not for that." I'm like, "That was for that setup. They were gonna fight. I knew it."
Hey, listen, let's face this, right? It's been really great that some of these guys have come out and say, I need some time off. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling good. I'm distracted. I'm depressed about this pandemic and about all that's going on around the world. And so that's been a change in the game. And now we heard Charlo, who sounded like he was out of his mind, coming on the air, giving the fight to his brother and his baby mom and that baby mom and these bunch of baby mamas. But, can Ryan Garcia make it back? Does he fight at the level where those guys in that division are? I don't know.
That's true.
Hey, since you're talking about Ryan Garcia, let's talk about this. We talk about this all the time. It's probably just getting burnt out. But what do you think about these YouTubers, man?
The pandemic was great for them. They came out. They made a lot of money. They, they can't really fight. You can't really fight those brothers. Those two brothers? They can't make it into the real world. Come on, you kidding me? They will get their ass kicked. Now listen, the older brother. What's that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, what's his name did give it to Mayweather a bit, but he was way bigger than Mayweather. And Mayweather came back to the corner. They said, Floyd jab. He said, I can't. He took it away from me. So, but that's old Mayweather too. You know what I mean? So,
what do you think about women's boxing nowadays? You got the Amanda Serranos and things like that.
Listen, Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor sold out the Garden, and it was worth it. It was worth it.
They need a part 2. I don't know what they're waiting for.
Well, I think that Amanda Serrano is Katie Taylor's worn out. she's been the face of boxing for
That's
so many
true.
years.
That's
She's
true.
worn. She's not the same. And Serrano really showed her that last time. She got hurt a few times for a few rounds. So I would like to see her get out. But Amanda Serrano's fighting 3 minutes a round. I mean,
Yeah.
beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
I think that was a
Making
draw.
good money now too.
I think it was a draw with her and Katie.
Yeah, but whatever it is, they're here to stay. I wish I could have sparred with those girls when I was back there in my day.
You wish you could have sparred with them for real? Woof.
Why not, bro? No, the pretty ones.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I was just at a fight with Christy Martin. What do you think about her? I mean, women like her and I mean, some of the names eluded me, but Christy Martin,
And Wolf,
Lady
and
Wham,
Wolf.
Oh, I am
and Wolf.
They were the people that made the game, but unfortunately, there was no money back then. And the girl you spoke about, the one that got shot by her
Christy
manager.
Martin.
Oh my God, that was horrific. So thank God she got out of there.
Coal miner's daughter.
Well, she got shot and stabbed.
Yeah, I know. And the guy was washing himself up in the other room, and she escaped.
That's crazy.
Damn.
She married a girl that she fought before, Jerry. You know that, right?
But my question is, I better keep my mouth shut.
Go ahead. Listen, it's a free forum here. Let's go for
Listen,
it.
I'm proud of the women, what they're doing. They're really fighting. I mean, it's not so deep in talent yet, but it is growing. And the fighters are getting better. And Clarissa Shields is a beast. And there's nobody for her to fight that's going to give her any type of a challenge. But, hey, listen, they're growing. Someone's going to come up. And if they keep the Olympics open for the women, I don't know if they did. I thought they might have closed it. But if they do, we're going to see some great fighters.
Jerry, how do you feel about the networks leaving, man? Like Showtime, HBO, and
not just that, but here's the story. You take ABC, NBC, CBS, they left, and all the people that would love boxing that don't have the money can't see it anymore.
Right.
So they're not privy to it, and that's a shame, because a lot of those kids in America could have been got that experience and been great champions. And the amateur program died down a lot since those networks left. And then, like you said, Showtime and HBO, I mean, they want to stay with their most confident for family shows, movies.
Even the announcers ain't the same. Jim Lampley was the best, man. Jim Lampley.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those guys were good, and you pass it on, and Father Time takes care of us all, right?
True.
Well, technology. Don't you think that the technology nowadays with the streaming, they're getting ahead of the curve because they've realized that not only the streaming aspect of it, but the money aspect of it. Whereas fighters are making so much coin right now, which is, I commend them. And
very small percentage of them. Small percentage.
Very true. Very true. Very true. But HBO and the Showtimes and things like that are just getting ahead of the curve because of the streaming aspect of it. No,
right.
But what do you think?
Agree. I think that's a good point, and I think that they want to focus on family shows, and that's what's going on for them. That's at least what we heard from Bob Arum and a bunch of other people. So, listen, for now, that's the way it is. But we find a way. Boxing finds a way somehow.
For sure. I remember when USA Tuesday night fights were, and then they steered away from it. They got more family oriented. Yeah. And then, I guess now HBO and Showtime and all these people getting ahead of the curve. I mean, I was privy to speaking to Sam Watson, and they're talking to the Amazons and the Netflix and things of that nature and the streaming services. So boxing will definitely survive, and it'll find a way. It'll straighten up its course to where it's got to go, I believe.
Well, it always has. It always has.
Jerry, when I went to Vegas, I was looking for that parking lot where you fought Holmes at.
Oh, man. That was amazing. Here's the story, right? They knocked on my door. They said, "Cooney, you're up." I said, "Oh, shit." And I got my robe on, and we walked down this empty corridor. It seemed like a quarter of a mile. And then you open up to the crowd, and you hear the roar of the crowd. And that's how you become magical. It's a magic moment that you get hit in the face with and say, "Wow, okay, baby, let's go." You know what I mean? And that works for a good period of time, but it does go away. and you got to take advantage of it. And the problem is when you're young and dumb, you don't take advantage of it long enough. But like I said, it's all good. You guys are doing great. Feel like I'm doing great. Um,
Jerry, my coach used to tell me all the time that youth
go
is
ahead,
wasted
Jerry.
on the young. And I didn't realize that when I
Yeah.
was in my 20s and 30s.
Yeah.
And now that I'm in my 50s, I realized that there's no such saying truer than that one there, that youth is wasted on the young, because when you're young, you think that you know it all. And when you get to my age, you realize you didn't know shit.
Hey, let me tell you guys something. So all my life, I felt like Superman. I could do anything. I could fix anything. I didn't care. I could do it all. And then you go to the doctor. Like I take a couple of blood tests every year, and the guy says, "I want you to come into the office. You have early stages of prostate cancer." It was like, "What did you say? What was that?"
Wow.
And then you do what's indicated. All I had to get was 5 radiation shots, and it knocked it from 6.8 to 3.1. But it's a very sobering feeling to know that, listen, we have to live every day to the fullest because there's an ending to this.
Right.
And we don't know when it is. And so, and I also want to make peace with my God. And I try and live my life that way every day because that's our gift right now.
Yeah, life is very precious. You never know when your day's gonna come. I was just recently telling my family that my family was very tight knit at one time, and as we got older, the pandemic or whatever the case may have been, our family reunions now are funerals, and life is very precious. And you're so right by saying that.
I have a friend that's 75. He said, "Jerry, all I do is go to wakes and funerals."
Oh man.
I said, "Keep it to yourself, my man. Take it to yourself."
I got it, Jerry. I got it, Jerry. Get some Grecian formula number 9. Bow your head and come back.
There you go, bro. Yeah, I can't even fight my wife now, bro. So
You
listen,
and me both, man. You ever heard of being undefeated? I'm defeated. My wife get me every single time.
well, here's a story. I'm going to tell you guys this story. I told my wife when we first met that I'm going to make all the major decisions and she can make all the minor decisions, right? So we've been married for 30 years. There's never been a major decision. There's only minor decisions. She makes all the decisions.
That's why
I'm okay with it,
lasted
bro.
that long.
Jerry, the outfit you wore when you fought Holmes, you still have that?
I do.
You do?
I have the robe and the short. I think, I may have given it to the Hall of Fame up in Canastota, I think, but I have something. I don't know. I don't really. I have. You know what I have? I have a lot of gloves of Larry Holmes and Gerry Cooney, and I love them. And I'm
You
able
in
to
the
give
Hall of
them out.
Fame, right, Jerry?
What's that?
You in the Hall of Fame, correct?
Not up there, but no, not up there. I'm in the few Hall of Fames, but I don't want to be in the Hall of Fame.
No,
I have
why?
a great life. I'm good. I've been so lucky. You know what I mean? I don't need that stuff. I don't need that to tell me who I am.
I hear that. I
You
hear
know,
that.
I got great friends. I was telling you guys, I get invited to events all the time. I give everybody a hard time. They pay me and say, "Come back next year," right? And I laugh and joke the whole time, telling stories about my life.
Cool.
And people relive it, and I relive it. And then I come home. I want to go to sleep because I'm so tired of doing it. But it's a great experience that we get to go forward with.
Jerry,
Live
did you
it.
ever fight in Florida?
Oh, I fought Animal Lopez down in Florida.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I fought Eddie Animal Lopez down in Florida. I
Shit.
kicked his ass, bro.
That's the guy that came out in Rocky, right? Wasn't he? Didn't he come out in Rocky?
No, he was a tough guy. He was he beat he should have beat John Tate. They didn't give him the decision. He was a tough guy.
He was a street dude. Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. And he was a tough guy, so they cut it from 10 to 8. I said, "Oh shit, now he's gonna come out faster." But I kicked his ass, bro. I kicked his ass.
Hey,
Anyway.
Emelio, we're getting short on time. We got a minute left to the 30th hour. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give my respects to the man, the gentleman, Gerry Cooney, out of New York City, fellow Golden Glover. I want to thank you for honoring me today to interview you, to speak with you, and many blessings. Blessings to you and your family. Maybe we'll see around. Maybe we'll see each other around in New York someday.
I'd love to come on sometime. That we'll break down some good fights, and yeah, I'm grateful to be on with you guys too. This is a great platform to tell like it is, right?
Thank you.
Thank you. You
Love
want
you
to go
guys.
over it? You go
Thank
great.
you for the pic, Jerry. Thank
What's
you for
that?
that picture, man. You see that picture there?
Listen, I love that stuff, man. I live on that stuff.
Because of
Guys
you.
tell me my uncle really loved you. I said, well, call him, and I get on the phone with him and give him a hard time.
Hey, Jerry, because of you, I made it to the Wall of Fame over there in Bruce's office. You know that?
You're the best, bro.
Salute,
All right,
man.
peace, baby. Love you guys. Okay.
Thank you, Jerry.
See you next
Appreciate
time.
you.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Boxing Playhouse, we out. God bless. See you next
Thank
week,
you.
guys.
See you, fellas.
Welcome to the house, the one they talking about, word of mouth, the Boxing Playhouse, without a doubt. All the latest and greatest boxing news, that's what it's all about.